Alright, so I'm back after the alignment. I always like to double check the height after it's aligned, because it can change it a little bit. It's about the center of the hub, best I can tell. What's up, Speedy's Garage gang? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. Today we're on a little bit of a field trip. If you've been following along, then you saw that I replaced the lower ball joints on Project 4Runner last time, and I also went ahead and adjusted the suspension a little bit. You know, we've got that TRD Tundra shock spring set up with the Bilstein 5100s, and they're adjustable. Those particular ones I think have 4 or 5 perches on them, and on the bottom setting it had given me right about 2 inches of lift, and it's kind of a pain to put that coil spring and that strut back in the truck. So I had about a 1/2 inch of rake and had it like that for about 10 years, but since I was working on the ball joints and the suspension anyway, I figured I'd go ahead and take the opportunity to try to level it out. I prefer it to be level. And so I moved the spring perch to the second from the bottom. So bottom, second from the bottom. And it gave me right about, I was looking for about a 1/2 inch of lift. It gave me right about 5/8. That's prior to the alignment, which is where we're headed now. Replacing just the lower ball joints, I would recommend you still have the alignment checked. I've seen mixed information on that. I don't know that the factory service manual has a recommendation. If you know, leave me a comment below, but I don't remember seeing one. However, I have heard of people getting some feathering on their tires as a result of the toe being out after replacing the lower ball joints, and it probably depends on how worn out they are too. As you saw, mine didn't look terrible, but now that I've raised the suspension, I'm definitely going to need an alignment, and tires are the next thing I'm going to take care of. And so I usually get an alignment anytime I get new tires. So it's been about 10 years, 100,000 miles. I'll show you that the tires have worn very evenly, so I believe the alignment was fine before doing all the work. But now that I've done it, it's time to get the alignment done. So that's where we're headed now, and I'm really curious to see how far off it is after replacing the lower ball joints and raising the lift. So we'll get a little before and after, hopefully a graph from the alignment shop. Let's go get it done. Was actually done a whole lot faster than I was expecting. My man Jose up here, he's the guy that also did the alignment on the Hellcat when I put the all angles design adjustable suspension on it, and we had it aligned up special for track so that the tires are perfectly flat. He did a really good job on that, so got him to go ahead and do the alignment on the 4Runner, and I can't wait to show you guys the alignment sheet. So I thought the caster would be out with me messing around with the suspension and the lift and everything, but I think what we're going to find out is it's going to confirm that when you do lower ball joints, you're really going to be needing to look at doing an alignment afterwards. So keep that in mind. I'll show you the sheet as soon as we get back to the shop. And I asked about this before, so leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I'm really debating what size tire to go back with. I'm pretty sure I could put a 285/75 16 on the truck. I even looked at going to a 285/70 17 and changing the wheels to the I like the level 8. These are level 8 MK6s. Yeah, level 8 MK6. I like those a lot, and they actually make a 17/8 and a 17/9. So I could switch those out, but then we're into $600 in wheels, plus the larger tires are more expensive. So I don't know. The biggest thing that's got me hung up on the tire size is the load rating. When you go up to that 285/75, it goes from a standard load rating, which is like a 4 or 5 ply sidewall, to something like a 10 ply D load rating, and unfortunately those tires weigh a lot compared to what's on here now. So these are a 265/75, which is about what, a 31 10.5. So I'd be going to like a little bit bigger than a 32, not quite a 33. I think a 285/75 is like a 32.8 diameter, so almost a 33 by like 11.5, 11.2 inches, something like that. But the weight difference, it's like 15 or 20 pounds per tire in a lot of cases, or in most cases that I've seen. And that's a lot of rotational mass to be fooling with and lugging the car around. And you know, gas mileage isn't that big a deal to me, but it would drag it down. I mean, I'm averaging 16 now cruising around town. That would probably drop by 2. So we'd be like 14 miles to the gallon probably. And the big thing for me would be the performance drag. So if you've got 285/75s on your supercharged 4Runner, let me know what you think, and please leave me some comments, give me some ideas. And since I figure someone will ask, here's what my CV boots look like. No fins are touching, so I think I lucked out there. These are 21-year-old CV boots, so we'll see if they get unhappy after being adjusted, but at least they're not rubbing. That's the passenger side. And there is the driver's side. So you can see they look fine. That's the inner. Outers are usually not a problem, so not worried about those. It's usually the inners, but mine are good. So let's take a look at this alignment sheet. And one thing I'm going to say about those CV boots is it seems to be a your mileage may vary scenario where it just depends on the truck. I obviously got lucky and mine aren't touching. After some settling, I've got about 200 miles since I put the lift, or since I adjusted the spring perch settings on that lift. And those springs, the TRD Tundra coils, have 100,000 miles on them. They didn't settle very much from when I first put them on. I did take measurements right before I adjusted it, and it was still right at 2 inches of lift, just like it was when I did it 10 years ago, or whatever it was. Let's see, 10 years, 60,000 miles, I'm sorry. 60,000 miles ago is when I did that. So the tires also have 60,000 miles, and I'll show you those here in a second after I show you the alignment sheet. But CV angles were good, CV boots were good, and after the settling and everything, I ended up with right at a 1/2 inch of lift, and now it sits perfectly level. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now I'm gonna show you the alignment sheet. Camber, caster is what I thought would be a problem. It was not, but look at toe. Toe is way out. You're like 3 times what you want toe to be. So they usually want that to be about 0.10, and I'm confident that is from the ball joints. And that's what I saw online too, is when lower ball joints were replaced, even without messing with the suspension, it was always the toe that was a problem. And so you end up with either this or this. In my case, it was inboard, I believe is what that means. You correct me if I'm wrong, but I expect that's in, and it's digging the edge of the tire in. So you will feather the edges of your tires pretty quickly if you have that much toe. And once you get them, start to get a pattern worked and worn into them, it's kind of bad news for your tires. So definitely recommend an alignment after you place lower ball joints. Here's the after specs. So you can see the camber and the caster barely changed, but now the toe is 0.10. And total toe is 0.20. Up here it was 0.61. So everything worked out fine. I'm very happy with the suspension. I would recommend it again for what it cost. I don't know if you can get those springs and stuff anymore. I got those brand new from a online Toyota dealer, 10 years ago, but very happy with this. And these tires are Bridgestone Revo 2s, and they have been excellent. I think they were rated at a 50,000 mile tire, and these have right at 60,000 miles on them, maybe 61,000. And they're pretty worn. I wouldn't want my wife driving it like this, so especially in the wet. So I actually took these tires a little bit farther than I would recommend anyone else take them, but that's just kind of how it worked out. So now I just got to figure out which tire to get. And speaking of my wife, we went for a ride in the 4Runner yesterday, and she didn't even notice a difference in the ride. So that tells me that the ride is still nice with that on that second perch. I didn't find it harsh. She didn't notice, and after about 30 minutes, I asked her, I said, do you notice anything different? She said, no, it actually feels like it rides exactly the same. So that was also good news. Stay tuned. We got A few more parts still on the bench over here for the 4Runner, and I've got some more restoration we're going to continue to do. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedies_garage, as well as the website www.speediesgarage.net. I hope to see you out there. Next up, new tires for the 4Runner.